So an email subscriber pinged me an email. They pinged me this email and I saw it as a challenge. And it's a challenge that by the time I got to the end of it, I felt like an idiot. Now, I'm going to go you through my process of elimination, trying to understand this person's problem or issue they were having with their limiters. And I'm not going to tell you what the solution is till the very end. But by doing that, I think some of you will be able to pick out the problem either straight away or somewhere halfway along my tests, because now knowing what actually is causing this, I feel like a bit of an idiot, but it has taught me some things about a particular parameter in limiters, which is very important to the tonality of them, which I hadn't considered or I knew about, but hadn't been brought to the forefront. So follow along here. Now, I'm going to exploit the person's name because I don't know if they want that information disclosed in a YouTube video, but basically they said, situation. They got a simple square wave with unison generated by Serum to get some stereo information. So they must have done some synth wave modulation. I've got the file here that we can listen to. And they've monoed the low end using Tone Project's baselane. And they've given me a graph here showing that everything is mono. But what's happened here is when they put FabFilter Pro L2 on the end of the chain, it gain reducts, let's say 1 dB, 2 dB, there's stereo information being reintroduced back into the low frequencies. And they said the same situation happened with Smart Limit on Sonable, the same situation with Music Hack Master Plan and Ozone 11 Maximizer. So to solve this, I use a limiter, then baselane to make the low frequencies mono, and then another limiter, which does not introduce this issue when using 1 decibel of gain reduction. Now, this perplexes me. It's how can a limiter introduce or skew the mono low end? Period. If you've made it mono, then you're limiting it. It shouldn't be doing that. However, you're going to be listening, and some of you might have already picked up what the error is, but I'll take you through the test. So here's the square wave he sent me. I've just cut a section off where this issue was more prominent and persisting. So let's have a listen to this. And if we go here, we can see there's definitely stereo information down there. If we monitor the side signal, that's on side, there's still low end information there. So that's just the fundamental synthesis that is created for this test. And what I've done is then I've added Pro Q3 with a brick wall filter on the side signal, because I didn't want to, have anything coming down into there that could affect the limiter at all, period. I want it to be very clinical, not that I would ever do this in a master, but let's have a look at the side signal now from that. And as you can see, negative 115 decibels down there, it's pretty much non-existent, those low frequencies. Now, here's where things got interesting, and that's when I bring in this limiter. We'll even just go to the factory default setting, because I did do a bit of tweaking, but I found out that none of the parameters actually made this do this specifically. So let's do this, and we're just going to do 1.5 dB limiting. What's going on here? See there? I'm getting low frequencies coming in. Why is that the case? So I had to do some digging here. So I rendered out the raw, the filtered, and the limited files. I've got them over here in Audio Editor. So this is the raw one. 2.5 dB is the ceiling, which I'm using on the limiter. Then I've got the filtered version without the limiter. And that's, pretty symmetrical. And then I've got the limited version. Now, some of you are going to pick up what is actually causing that low end to shift into the side signal again after the limiter. If you haven't, you will soon. But fundamentally, what is happening here, and we can visually see it, it isn't a bad thing, but it's something we need to be conscious about because there's some lessons to take from it, which we'll learn in a second, is that. Let's go back to our limiter settings here. Let's go here. We're at 2.5. Channel linking. Okay, this is where the issue was. I think I had the channel linking down here or so. Channel linking and attack. Basically, what is happening is one channel is limiting and the other one is limiting less or not at all. And the reason is because of this channel linking and the attack time. That is causing, so our side signal, our stereo field, is the difference between the left and right channel. So obviously, if the right channel limits more, it's going to drift slightly one way or slightly the other, and that difference signal, even in the low end, is going to be represented in that drifting. It's something we know, it's something we understand as part of using limiters. So if we just speed up the attack for the sake of demonstrative purposes, not that this is a solution, we're just looking at it, and we get this all linked up, let's have a look now at what happens to the low end here. Let's play this through. Okay, let's just make sure the transients are linked, and we're good. There's not much low end, sort of rearing its head there, which is good. Now, if we choose to bring this release back, we're going to get a lot more low end coming in because the release stage is independent on the right channel as opposed to the left. But if we bring this up, wait a second, we're pretty good. Lessons, because I said there's something to take from this. So we understand why it's happening. In a perfect world, of course, you don't want the signal to drift. That's why we have that tool there of channel linking, so we can decide whether we want the stereo field linked with the limiter or not. Now, that's a perfect world, but there's practical world in terms of the application and why this is important. If things are going out to vinyl and you don't want your needle in the subs to drift, you probably want to be pretty critical of how your limiter and all your processes are actually affecting the balance between the left and right channels. So this is just something I'm learning here now through these tests. Even though I'm aware of it, I wasn't aware of how far these things could drift, depending even at a small amount of limiting, 2.5 decibels. It's only doing 1.5 dB a gain reduction here. It's just an interesting assessment. And I want you guys to let me know in the comments, did you find this earlier on? Did you, like... I want to know what your thoughts are on this, because it's just something I wanted to flesh out and come to understanding. So attack time, I'm not sure why the attack time is so dependent on this, but I think it's just because the velocity or speed in which the channels independently might be moving, even when they're linked, could affect it, possibly. But it's mainly the channel linking that is causing the stereo field to shift or move or sway or drift the low end or all the frequencies, really, but it's just drifting that stereo image. I want to know your thoughts. This was a fun thing to come in, so thank you to the subscriber who pulled it in. This is the sort of geeky stuff we do in the newsletter, so if you're not a part of it, you need to be a part of it, because these people are all professionals like you and me. We love the detail. We love pushing our craft, and what I thought would be such a complicated, convoluted issue with the limiter was actually something as simple as knowledge I already had in terms of channel linking. That's what would cause it, but it's not until you look into it that you're like, oh, actually, that's much simpler than I actually thought. I thought it was going to be some sort of weird DSP thing happening in the background, doing something funky with the phase, but it wasn't. So there you have it. Until next time, take care.